Hi, welcome back. This is Mike from City Beats DJ Music Production School. Today we're going to talk a little lesson on the warping functions inside of Ableton, but how to use them more as a sound design tool and not just to warp the tracks so we can play them, as I did in my last tutorial. I usually do this with vocals or other build-up pieces. Let me just get right into it and just show you how we talk about it. So right here I have a vocal loaded up, and then I also have a just a random sound loaded up, kind of like a white noise type sound. But first we'll work with the vocal. So let's just listen to the vocal how it is. This is a recording that I'm going to use for one of my tracks, but I don't want to use it in the exact sense that it was recorded. I want to use it in a different way, but I want to still use the voice, the girl's voice. So let's just hear it.
Say you do, say you don't care to see me now and then.
Okay, pretty simple, pretty good vocal, you know, in real time. So what I'm going to do is just click into the clip. So now I'm paying attention here to the warping function, which is right here. So the warping function is on. Right now it's set to beats. That's what we don't want. I'm going to show you real quick, but let me just crop this a little bit. Let's pick a piece that we want. We don't want the entire thing. Let's just say I wanted the end piece of her vocal. Just this part right here. So what I did there is I just created a loop there, and now I'm going to crop the sample. That way I'm just working with those two small pieces there. Let's make it 2 bars, so it's an even 2 bars. Okay, so let's listen to it again here.
And then.
Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm gonna time stretch it. So I'm gonna create a warp marker, and I'm gonna stretch the entire vocal. So what I need to do is make this bar the length of the loop longer. So let's make it about 8 bars. So that way we have room here, so we can stretch it. So now my second step would be to create a warp marker. We just double click right there. Take it away, create it again. Create the warp marker, and now what I'm going to do is just simply pull the warp marker and stretch the vocal all the way. Okay, and now you're not done there. A big factor that has to do with this time stretch and the capabilities of Ableton would be, you know, what warping function we would put it in. So right now it's in beats. What I like to do when I time stretch is work in tones, texture, repitch, complex, or complex pro. So let's just try it. Let's just put it on tones. And now let's listen to it. Kind of get that metallic stretch feel. I mean, that's a little too much for my taste, but, you know, right there we changed that voice almost into a robotic voice. But so let's try the other ones. Let's try texture. And what's going to be important here is the grain size. Basically what they mean by the grain size is it's kind of spitting it back to you in different grains. So the higher we put the grain size up, you know, the more of the flutter we'll hear. So let's put the grain size all the way up and listen to it again. You know, that's kind of cool, and that's kind of effect that you know, we normally hear in tracks. You know, that flutter delay kind of effect. It's sort of a delay, but it's not. You know, I like using this in my tracks. This kind of sound design tool. So let's just turn the grain size down all the way, and now let's listen to it. Okay. So, you know, and now we got a stretched out piece of a vocal that we can use for fills, for other things like that. You know, anything. And if we don't like those sounds, you know, there's other ones we can use. Complex Pro, we can turn it on. So let's just turn it on that and listen to it. And they're all going to do a little bit different of sort of a sound design feel. Depending on what you're looking for, you know, you would just, you know, click down on here and just pick the different warping engines inside of Ableton. Again, we don't have to stretch it this far. We can stretch it further. You can stretch it a little bit. So let's just grab this guy again and bring him back. Let's do it a little bit of a stretch and now turn it on texture. Raise the grain size halfway and press play again. So you see that sample wasn't as stretched, so her voice was a little bit quicker. So depending on what, you know, you're particularly looking for, you know, the warping engine and time stretching your vocals and other pieces of your songs, you know, could be used in very different ways to create fills, just to create underlying tones, to create harmonies, you know, anything like that. Tune in more. This is Mike with City Beats. Thanks for tuning in.